Chapter 1, October 1918. Maybe it was time to kill Rawhide Rick. He had served his purpose, the old rascal. He had hunted buffalo and fought Indians and stolen gold from hard-working miners and sent men to the gallows. Now might be the time for him to meet his maker. The trick was deciding how to kill him. Daphne McKinley rose from her desk and walked into the parlor, where she pushed aside the curtains at the window. A golden haze blanketed Bethlehem Springs. It had been a beautiful autumn, the prettiest one yet in her 3 years in this serene Idaho mountain town. The trees had been the brightest of golds, the most fiery of reds, the deepest of greens. Daphne had spent many a mild afternoon walking trails through the forest, enjoying the colors and the smells. If Rawhide Rick, who by this point in the series of books had become the infamous Judge Richard Terrell, was dead, what would become of the dashing Bill McFarland, hero of the McFarland Chronicles? Without his arch-enemy, his life might become rather dull. Or perhaps it was Daphne who would find life dull without Rawhide Rick. Wicked he was, but he certainly kept things interesting whenever he was around. She rubbed her eyelids with the tips of her fingers, and when she pulled them away, she noticed ink stains on her right hand. Her fountain pen was leaking. Perhaps it was time to buy a typewriter. But would writing on a machine feel the same? Daphne turned from the window, her gaze sweeping the parlor. She had come to love this small house on Wallula Street. Since moving into it soon after Gwen, its previous owner, married Daphne's brother, she had delighted in making it her home, decorating and furnishing it in ways that pleased her. Daphne's childhood homes had been large and filled with servants waiting to attend to her slightest wish. But she had often been forced to live by the timetables of others. Now she could do as she willed, when she willed. The freedom she enjoyed was intoxicating. The best part was when she wanted to be with family, she got into her motor car, her very own quite wonderful McLaughlin Buick, and drove to her brother's home to play with her young nephew and infant niece. She was completely dotty over the two of them. She loved to crawl around on the floor with Andy. He would turn 2 at the end of November, the both of them squealing and giggling. And there was nothing like cuddling 3-month-old Ellie. Daphne thought the baby girl smelled like sunshine. A sigh escaped her. She hadn't time for daydreaming about Morgan's and Gwen's darling children. She must decide what to do. If she was going to kill the judge, she needed to notify Elwood Shriver at once. Wavering in indecisiveness served no good purpose. She returned to her small office. The floor around her desk was littered with wadded sheets of paper. It was always thus when words frustrated her. "So wasteful," she scolded softly. As she sat down, she took up the 5-day-old newspaper. News of the war half a world away was splashed across the front page. More than 1 million American men, just boys many of them, were now fighting in Europe alongside the Allied powers. The end was near, some said. She prayed to God they were right. Too many had died already. Others, like Woody Statham, would wear the scars from their war wounds for the remainder of their lives, if not on their bodies, then in their souls. She flipped through several more pages of the newspaper, but nothing she read captured her imagination or sparked her creativity. Besides, she'd read every article before, some of them several times. Maybe her problem wasn't with Rawhide Rick. Maybe the problem was Bill McFarland. Maybe she was tired of him. Maybe he should die. Maybe the whole lot of them should perish, she muttered as she laid the newspaper aside. She spun her chair toward the bookcase beneath the office window. There on the bottom row were copies of the McFarland Chronicles by D.B. Morgan, all 10